want an issue. The guy should be jumping in any minute. Let me start reaching out to him. So they're running late. I want to see David where he is because this is his show. So it says, "Oh, speak of the devil. Let's get this little group in here." David, what's going on, my man?
I'm good. This is not good. This is bear paw, ladies and gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Hi, David. I think I talked enough about I disagree with this world we're in nationality makes a difference. So please give
And
me your
what
feedback.
and what's in terminology concerning nationality and employment?
Yes, I disagree with it, but that's the world we're living now, unfortunately.
You may disagree with it, but this is something that have been built up over a long period of time. Now, let me speak from my not just my anecdotal experience, but what I've been observing when working in corporate white America, white collar America. That is, if you're working when you're a business administrator or you're executive assistant or you're a manager of a department or you're a tech or in any type of fashion, you will notice there's a unique undertone concerning ethnic group and what kind of position if they will be allowed to be in or they look at they're supposed to be in. I'm not saying that's how it's supposed to be, but if for some apparent reason it's not written, but it's like an underground rule.
Mm-hmm.
For example, in the tech industry, I'm trying to call it no division or shade, but it seems to me any of the high level, high end tech position mostly go to the Asian and the Middle Eastern, aka India, due to the level of skill set they're looking for, so to speak. What I try to understand, I take if it's not possible to find that same skill set here, homegrown, if we have all these tech company out here, what would be the problem? Is it the education? The schooling system? What could be the problem? I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but there's a lot of factors to why in most corporation is a common denominator when you go to any white collar job. You see a lot of Indian or Asian people in the high position in the tech industry or in tech department, so to speak. Yeah, there are some black, there are some Latin, there are the white, but those who are behind the scene working with the server, working with the network rack, work with the protocol, whatsoever now, cybersecurity, that's a whole different ballgame. That is a new title, which is not really old yet. So that's soon will be changing soon, but so far that particular pigeon is not much of an acting good, it's more of a skill clash. But any other position, more like in the networking side of things, there have been a lot of Middle Eastern companies taking over that position. If we talk about the regular office position, it's very dependent on the nature of the company. Either being financial, either being PR, either be fashion, and that also play a part as well. Now, I'm not saying this is so, it's also play a part in the pay package as well. But it's not so uniform, but there's a common denominator when you pay attention to it after the period of time, you start to understand what's going on. Recently, you have the latest president put a clause on the H-1B visa. Now, everyone who understands about the H-1B visa, they are mostly used for high-end jobs, not mostly for low-end jobs. And these high-end jobs are mostly in the tech industry, manufacturing
Mm-hmm.
industry, whatever that requires neck level skills. The common denominator of people that get pulled in are more so on the Indian side in some cases, if you within the office. But if you open the door a little further based on, when I remember I say niche, corporate office will be mostly towards the Indian side. I'll put that there. Manufacturing will be more so on the Asian side, either be South Korea, either be China, depending on the nature of the company, or if it's Singapore. Because like put for example, Hyundai, LG, Samsung, South Korean, do the math. Any other tech company that the origin of that tech company not from the US, it gotta be from somewhere else, either it be from Singapore, either be Taiwan, whatever it may be. They have to bring their engineers from their main headquarters to come over here to train whoever will work in the American factory base here. That's the given. We into manufacturing right now, into automobile. They have been a unique transition right now. They are moving manufacturing or automobile slowly out of the U.S. to oversee for what you call cheap labor. But labor is no longer cheap anymore since we in the what everybody's equal now. You know what I'm saying? This perfect example in Africa alone. If I do the count correctly, there are almost about 15 to 20 manufacturing plants in Africa that manufacture cars, trucks, SUVs, and buses as well, which also include 18 wheelers. There's five in Nigeria with a classmate of mine. Shout out to Lawan Chitumoto. They also have competition in Nigeria. There's also one in Uganda. I believe there's one being built up in Zimbabwe, if I'm correct. I'm not too sure. There's supposed to be one in South Africa as well, and it's growing. We know about the European manufacturing; it's already been there for the longest. China have their own as well. So right now, if you want to move manufacturing out of the country, where can you go? They think you're going to be cheap. You can say South America, yeah, but for how long? So there's a demographic pull based on who they pull for specific skill set. You think I'm wrong? Let's look into construction. What is the normal demographic of people that pull in mass number for construction? I'm sure everybody have come across it, no matter what state you're in. Either you're in New York State, you're in New
Yeah,
Jersey,
most of them are Spanish.
bingo. So that demographic, they don't need H-1B visa to pull them in, especially when they are coming from behind the scene, aka behind the borders. They're coming into work. They got their skill set. And I be a security guard long before I got into IT, and rumor has it, which is being pointed out, somebody told me this out here in New York City. To get one person to do construction through the union will cost them to pay that person $33 to $35 an hour for one person from the union. If you want to cut costs, better hire one for the union. You get three for the price of one. Split the money three ways. There are a lot of construction going on down south whereby you have people getting paid under the table. I've been going on for a long time, but it is known that they have that consistency of being there when needed because they're hardworking people. Let's be real. They're number one, the food chain under construction. After the Latino, mostly Mexican, you have Caribbeans. Not the next level, but it depends on which region you see a lot of Caribbean come in big number to do constructions. That's also as well. After that, then you got the regular white, but not in large number whereby they're all by themselves on a project site, unless they're part of that particular company and they're all within the union. That being said, I'm not trying to put down on the hospitality region, but we also know hospitality region also play in this game as well. You are the chef. You know this. You
Mhm.
know people work in restaurant, right? You know people work in hotel, right? You tie for hospitality, they work in these places, cleaning, that also under hospitality. What the common denominator are the people who flood that space?
Uh, it's a mixture. I think it's a mixture,
Well,
but
make sure what who is dominant come to hospitality, either be a cleaning office, you're cleaning a hotel, or you're serving. What the common denominator but that ethnic group that does it the most?
black people,
Black people, who else?
Spanish.
Bingo.
But here's where I have an issue, and I'll let Sean and Paul can jump in next. All right,
Hmm.
when they are purposely hiring one race, on purposely, and they looked at you as you're the minority, that's when I have an issue.
This is something I debated about when I was in my early 20s about this. Why it had to be this way. They say sometimes you have to stay back and observe, and I did that. There's a unique reason why they do such a thing. Because I remember this happened at one point when we came out from the pandemic, and they would talk about one manufacturing plant want to get rid of all their workers and get people who were brought in, either from the border or people who came in from Africa to the work ethic. Keyword: work ethic. People are saying certain groups have better work ethic than others in certain areas. It's hard to argue it, but that's what employers look at, right? If you want to get a good number of people who can work consistently, almost non-stop in construction site, who you're looking for? You're looking for Russian, you're looking for Jamaicans, looking for Asian, or you look for someone who have been proven to be in that area more often.
All right, hey guys, let's get Sean in first, then Paul. Sean, go ahead, my man.
What's going on now? What was the question?
Just want your opinion right now about this. We haven't really, we just started the show.
Right, and but you just finished saying that you had an issue with when people are hired. Uh, repeat what you said.
I used to have an issue when a manager hires one particular race and he looks at you and he says you're the minority in the kitchen. I use kitchen as my example.
Okay. Um, that happens pretty regularly. I think I find it. You know, I don't know whether it's designed that way or whether it's not, but it happens pretty regularly.
Hmm.
If you think about, um, you're talking in the kitchen, but if you think about most places, let's say if you go to a fast food restaurant, you will find that whoever the manager is usually hires somebody who they're familiar with, and I'll just put it that way to keep it light. But
No,
it's almost
respect the board.
where you can't deny it. It's almost uh, where you can't deny it, where it's definitely there. So I've grown to understand it. Not that
You
I
want to
agree
lie?
with
You
it.
only can do this. That lady told like,
Dave, you got to mute.
I took care of it.
Oh, okay, cool. So yeah, so I mean, what was the what's the theme of the conversation?
Nationality versus employment. What really matters?
Uh, I mean, what really matters, depending on who's hiring, it's really
Mm.
it doesn't matter. Otherwise, whoever's hiring has the preference. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on who's looking at it, and it's never, we try to say preferences. prejudices, nepotism does not exist, but exists pretty predominantly, and that's kind of what I was describing when I just gave you the example of, if you go into a fast food restaurant, usually the preference is whoever's the hiring person, the person who hired is who you are to ask, and often it's somebody that they're familiar with, whether it be race or whether it be, yeah, I mean, it's usually that is a contingent race, but it's really depends on who's hiring, and there is no one way to determine it. There is no one like one rule for everybody, because there are no rules in reference to that. There are laws, but those laws are loosely followed. Those laws are easy to get around. All you have to do is pretty much make it accessible for whomever and everyone, and then you hire who you want anyway. At least I found it that way in most corporations and most jobs that I found. So it's not even about they do the legal thing as far as making it available to everyone, but they already in the back of their mind have who they want to hire.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get the next guy in here. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our president. Mr. President, what's going on?
I'm pretty good. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, you're nice and loud. All
Okay.
right, Paul, you're up. Talk to me.
I didn't know where this conversation was going. And so I wanted to really kind of take it in to kind of see where the direction of the show was going. And I got to admit, I am a bit troubled by the tone of this conversation.
Okay.
Because in part, you're saying now it's a problem. As an African American, I've heard a lot of that over my lifetime. That anytime African Americans who had 246 years of free labor to build this nation, that when we are given opportunities in areas that we were intentionally, institutionally, racially excluded from, and now we're in positions, or we're put into positions where we can make an impact not only for our own lives, but certainly for our people. And when people throw, in my view, it sounds like a dog whistle when it says, well, now it's a problem. As if now race has become an issue in hiring or admissions, excluding the hundreds of years that came prior. I find that highly offensive. When you look at this current government and its administration, and who this person is putting into position, people talk about qualifications. The people that have been let go, whose resumes have been exemplar, but we're putting people who have no background or experience in positions. I find that very offensive. So, but it's always the conversation anytime when black people, I'll just be blunt about it. Anytime the issue of black people changing the conversation, it becomes a racial conversation. Jesus was white for thousands of years until somebody decided to paint him a different hue that was closer to mine. Then people got offended at the imagery of it because it wasn't the blonde hair, blue eyed version that everybody grew up on. And then after their offense start to fall on deaf ears, because you can't deny just the history and location and region of the people that he could not have been that. Then people said, well, it shouldn't matter what color he is. But the fact that it was even hinted or suggested that he might have been something else than a blonde haired, blue eyed man, which people accepted with very little pushback, now it becomes a problem. So that piece is really has always triggered me in a lot of ways. When you see people of color start to advance, and then people start to question their qualifications that, oh, it was an affirmative action hire, it was a DEI hire. When again, we're seeing right before us people in the highest positions in the nation that have no qualifications. But that's normal. When we get there, it's an issue. It's a question. When I grew up, it was you had to work twice. If you look like me, you had to work twice as hard to get half as far. And that's been a mindset of my people ever since we've been here. So I don't buy this narrative that because an office or a location starts to brown, that the quality is less or it's some sort of bias, when it was like that since the beginning inception of the nation. And I agree with Sean. Not only did you have that going on, you also had nepotism going on. Yeah, people hired those who look like them. Me and Coach did a show last week on, and we're going to do a show this week on Next Gen Training, talk about the interview process. And we're going to certainly coach you through that in terms of, putting yourself in the best position to be successful. But at the end of the day, the person with the power and the influence, the right to hire, the one who controls the money is going to make that decision. And that decision is going to be made based on who they like. And you can't exclude bias from that, which is the reason why programs like affirmative action was put into place in the first place, because it addressed a systemic issue that existed in this country for hundreds of years. Now, everything's being pulled back on in college admissions and whatnot. And interesting enough, if you truly wanted to do merit-based in enrollment, then Asians would dominate. But a lot of these institutions of higher learning have populations that are very Eurocentric. But then it's only when it comes to us we want to talk about qualifications. So that's a sore spot with me. And I'm not buying this logic. And unfortunately, the sad part, I'm even hearing some of my own people repeating that talk. Oh, I don't want to be judged by race. I just want everything. We should do away with all that kind of stuff because I don't want to feel like I got a job because of DEI. I'm like, I don't care how you do the job. Can you do the job? Because how you get in is going to be through a variety of ways. Sometimes it's based on who you know and whether they like you or not. But can you do the job once you get in there? All we ask for is an opportunity, not a guarantee. And if I outwork everybody else, then I deserve not only the job, but the promotions and the advancement and everything else that goes with it. So that's one thing. The other thing is a lot of these decisions that we're talking about in these places where people are getting hired, a lot of it is all about economics. Why most corporate IT places have a lot of Asian Indians in there is because they work for less. Outsourcing, I was there when it happened. When you had major American people in the hundreds of thousands having their jobs supplanted by Asian Indian workforces and tech companies overseas. And when the internet got big, it really took in a high gear for people who work harder than anybody else, 7 days a week in some cases, for a fraction of the money. I was there when my salary got cut in half right overnight. They basically said, look, this is what we're going to offer you, take it or leave it. So just like with the Asians that built the railroads in this country, the rail lines, or the immigrants who came in, the poor immigrants who worked to build the country, the slave labor that built the nation, it's the same thing now. People are going to go where it's cheap. The jobs where the Latinos are taking it is because they'll do the jobs that no one else wants to do. In fact, it's interesting because when we were in the restaurant the other night, Peter, I noticed those guys weren't Greek back there in the restaurant.
Correct.
That's not a surprise. That's not a secret. So it's going to boil down to money, getting the cheapest labor force that you can get, and the inherent biases that people have in hiring. And I'm sorry that you had that experience. I truly am. That is awful what that guy said. And he shouldn't be in the position that he's in.
He's a director.
But I cannot allow an incident, a as personal as it is to you, to undo the hundreds of years that have been done to millions of people, to then have a conversation says, well, now race is becoming an issue. Why can't it just go down to the best person? That's all we ever wanted.
And I always
We
agree with
never
that,
wanted
Paul.
to take jobs from anybody, whatever. We just wanted an open, an equal and open, equal opportunity to compete. And if we outdo you, then so be it.
And I agree 100% what you're saying. I never argued that. And if I offend you, I apologize right now. That was not my point. You know that, right?
I know it's not a personal offense. And like
Okay.
I said
So,
earlier, but this type of conversation is one I hear often. But I just find it ironic how, when it comes to persons of color starting to have preeminence, you had no problem with the company when it was all white. Not you. I'm just saying in general. Now you get a
yeah. In general, you're talking about.
now you hire a person of color as an HR manager who opens up the field to find qualified candidates from a variety of different degrees, different areas. And now you start to brown in your company, and now what people want to start asking questions. Is there a problem? I've literally seen this happen. Black HR person comes in. Now you start having more black qualified people in the position, because prior to that, you never looked for those people. You never went to the HBCUs that had high tech skill guys and engineers and whatnot, some of the best in the country. You never went to NSBE or meet conferences to recruit these people because you never paid attention to it. And this person, because they had connections, started going out. I want the best and the brightest, but I'm looking for, yeah, I do want to look for people in these communities that can come in and do the job and do it well and do it with excellence. But because you start seeing people that don't look like you, now it becomes, hey, is there a problem? I've heard HR managers actually approach to say, is there a problem here? Because we're starting to see the demographics and the ethnicity of this place start to change. But the work is getting done. But that's not enough. So again, that conversation when people talk about, oh, well, it should be about the best person. Yeah, it is about the best person. And some of those best people happen to be people from all different backgrounds. And to me, that's what DEI or affirmative action, all those things were intended to be. Not quotas. I'm not a fan. I've never been a fan of quotas. You'll never hear me talking about there should be a quota system. I'm saying expand the pool to look for everybody.
Well, what's interesting about what you're saying, Paul, and I agree totally with what everything you said, is there's another element that is often overlooked. Qualification, for example. Qualification, you could be more qualified because that's what you've been prone to, or that's what you've been exposed to most of your life. But with training, that person who is of another ethnicity might be able to take that training and go beyond what your qualifications. So initially, it's a little bit unfair, which nobody likes to say, but it's a little bit unfair to say qualifications, because that's like saying somebody who's been exposed to, let's say, basketball all their lives, and somebody else who's very athletic but never been exposed to basketball. Initially, the person who's been exposed to basketball is going to be more qualified to join the team. But the problem is they aren't allowing anybody to join the team to see what their qualifications are. And then when they do join the team, although they weren't qualified initially, and they start excelling and going above and beyond what the rest of the team is doing, there becomes a problem. And that's where we have issues um, in our community with this anti DEI. Just FY, just for the record.
Let me add to that. I can agree to that because this is sometimes within the tech industry. Because when people make such statement that you can expect a black person to compute or articulate or analyze to do such tasks. I find it unusual. Mr. Bennett was totally correct when he said sometimes you got to work twice. What I observed in the tech industry, there's a ranking. If you are a black person, you got to work twice that hard. If you're a Caribbean person, you got to work 3 to 4 times as hard. If you're an African person, you got to work almost 5 to 10 times as hard just to prove your worth. And I've been the one that people complain about. I keep raising the bar too freaking high. The reason why, Mr. Bennett knows this. You don't have to say you can walk past and hear people say the, the most disrespectful statement about people of certain ethnic group, and you understand what they're trying to say. They're trying to make it seem like you're not good enough. So what all you can do is let your work speak for itself. And what I realize, you're not allowed to be a great tech. Because once you are a great tech, end up becoming a threat. And when you become a threat to certain people who in that management position, they don't want you to see you go up. Even though they have tried to test you to see if you can lie and you prove your worth. No matter how many fork in the road they threw along the way, you took it, ran with it, and you succeed. It's not enough. They had to get rid of you. There's so many excuses why they gotta let you go. But yet they will come out with the same people who say we need to pull ourselves from our bootstrap, but yet you can't give credit where credit due when they outperform you. What Mr. Bennett said is totally clear as facts. And sometimes they do it on put their opinion on people against you. Instead of working together to get the job done, if you do the job well and you're a team player and they can't find no way to get rid of you, they gotta find something else to get rid of you. Not only in tech, in the medical field, almost everywhere you go, they don't always got a problem with a person who don't look like them, who do the job better than they do. I always ask this question: why are you worried about what I'm doing if you're not focused at the job that you're doing?
Great
When
point.
you will tell us to keep our head, oh, we do keep our head down. What we normally do, we keep our head down and get that job done and keep it moving. But instead of you focus at your work, you focus on what we're doing and wondering why we are increasing in number because we can get the job done. I had to deal with that to the point where I think, why do I keep having to prove my self worth in every job I go to, but never enough? The idea to go by merit, I already been knew from day one, the moment I heard it. It was BS. The educational system is BS. Because what Paul said, most of the Ivy League college, the demographic, it speaks for itself.
It's still like 70, 80% white.
Let's not forget the idea they look down on college football. They think, oh, HBCU college football cannot compete with. Like, you serious? Deion Sanders had to prove a point. Let's not forget that part. The problem we have in this nation is they don't want to face the reality. And the reality is right slapped into their face, and they refuse to acknowledge it. The DEI program, the Affirmative Action Program, it was meant to keep people from being biased in the hiring process.
but
Let's
it's
keep
not
it
there.
let's keep it real 1000%. Because some of us who have been in the field, we're doing a 2, 3, 4, or 5 man workload just to prove our worth to stay here while our counterparts don't have to even do a fraction of what we do and still keep their. So I have to agree with my big brother here, Mr. Bennett, because I see it, I hear it, I experienced it, and look what happened. You have more than 5,000 jobs being lost this year. That quick. Qualified people. I'm keyword. Qualified,
Qualified people.
highly educated people to be replaced by dunce, retarded, good for nothing, incompetent individual. I said it. I don't want nobody to talk about merit, but the people put in the higher position don't even have the merit to be there. I'm sorry. I'm going based on technicality, education level, qualification level. If they don't have it, they're not supposed to be there. And they'll open their mouth to talk about people who need to be qualified. They need to be pimp slapped with baby powders. Yes, Hamad to How High, the movie. You're gonna know what I'm referring to if you watch that movie. The reason why I'm saying that because the idea of qualification is being BS for so long. Do you know what? I didn't forget like it was yesterday. When this man won the election back in 2008, for the first 7 months, how many times I see publication called this man a monkey? Took a picture of his wife and put a monkey face on it. Did anyone lose their job? I do not forget history, but I will let Americans like to
You
have this
wanted to get some
tendency of
precious
forgetting
gems
history.
searching. No, with your hectic schedule,
So imagine that. If you can disrespect a man who won the election fair and square, who's very articulate, very educated, you have to force this man to show his transcript several times over.
Show his transcript, show his birth certificate. I mean, again, people, you know, there's just other people that don't have to go through the hurdles that a lot of us have to do.
Just to prove our worth, but yet we have someone with a 1.28 GPA average in college. They leaked his transcript from his university days, which is nowhere near to what Obama had. We have been finding a lot of leaks, a lot of things have been left out, leaked out, whereby they have been fabricating lies against certain people due to their education level and qualification level.
David, if you think for 1 minute, excuse me, for 1 minute, me, I can only speak for myself. I didn't have to work hard as and the next person next to me, or even harder. You're completely wrong, David. I'm gonna tell you right now. I
Well,
always,
yeah,
You said,
Peter, there are
yeah,
exceptions, and
of course. Again,
often,
I'm only speaking for
but
myself right now.
what I'm saying is often when you have these conversations, especially with your brothers over here, it will you are an exception. So your point of view, while it will be acknowledged, it does not negate the fact of what the overall is, and your exception holds no real bearing on what we're talking about. We understand your exception. We accept your exception, but that does not make it the overall, and that's what we're speaking to is the overall. We're not speaking to anybody specific, those who are the exception to a rule, and you just happen to be an exception to the rule, but that doesn't negate what we're speaking about.
Hmm. All right, before we move on, let's get our witch doctor in here really fast.
Oh my
This
goodness.
conversation
Hello.
is going too serious. We have to laugh a little bit.
I
At the end of
know.
the day,
Okay.
we're doing this because we love doing YouTube. So let's laugh a little bit. All right,
Okay.
I might roll a pain in the ass. You're up.
Royal pain in the ass. Thanks.
Hey, I can give you. Okay, you can pick which doctor or roll a pain in the ass, or both actually.
Which doctor I prefer?
Okay,
All right. Because I be
go
a
ahead,
witch.
Mariana.
um, so the title of the show I saw is say employment versus nationality. I would say more like superficial versus genuine employees. Because then you have employees who are genuine or hardworking, and you have superficial employees, suck up and say all the talk, but no work is showing any part of it, I will say. And that's the problem. Like I just okay, I'm not gonna say name. This is a person with a very big title, and it's nothing to brag about. If you show it what you say, but it doesn't show proof on paper, you could brag about doing this for 42 something years, being a chef, but I don't see proof on paper. And you brag about it, but how come your work looks lousy to me? That's what I don't understand. Because if you really want to be genuine and being, being consistent, but you have to be truthfully, not being superficial, then, by all means, I respect you. But if you being superficial and saying all the talk and all this stuff you brag about is something that's not something to brag about. So, I mean, you have to, employment versus nationality. Of course, they, certain people who really have experience, who are really, that are able to go forth. But I will say, those I respect, those who really is willing to go forth or willing to, bust their ass. But I don't. Now it's this. I will say it depends. Some people are willing to, go extra lengths, and I don't see that. And then some people all talk, say all this, and meantime I don't see no action. So it's frustrating. It doesn't matter what work industry. Some people, just say what they say, but it's all sugarcoating, I will say. So I don't know what else can I say. It's a problem right now because I have a person with a title threaten me with HR yesterday. I kind of got really annoyed, but that's a whole different story for no reason at all. Making all this
Mariana,
speculation.
if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, me and you have a similar experience with similar situation with
Yeah.
somebody calling you. You said you're the minority in your kitchen. Can you please explain your story?
Uh
You
yeah,
can
I'm
use his
like
name. I don't give a shit. I already threw his name out there.
yeah, I'm like I will consider as a minority, I'm a woman. And then, some they consider women there's no room of women in the kitchen because I know it's predominantly a male industry, I will say. But I could do a better job than my male counterparts. And it shows proof. And I don't need to brag about it. It
Hmm.
shows, you know. But I get annoyed, like, oh, because somebody could like, kind of ruffle feathers. Oh, like saying that, oh, because you're not like me. I don't want to be like you. Why should I be like you? I'm not saying you in particular. I'm just saying everybody have
No,
a
no, I know
different
you
way
meant.
of
I know
doing.
you meant.
Yeah. Like I have different ways of doing things. You have your ways doing things. So, everybody has a different style. You can't be, everybody
I was
has
actually
their,
talking about something else. If you
okay.
remember, you told me a while back
Okay.
when Seduction first took over the hospital, the worst
Yes.
company in the goddamn food industry.
Yeah.
You said to me, somebody told you you're the minority in the kitchen.
Oh yeah. I remember I don't know why he say that. And I'm like, I didn't think of it at the time. I remember he came up to me and I asked him, oh, when he come up with that, I kind of got really annoyed with that in a more like a race way. I didn't like it. He said, oh, he mentioned the three people. There were three Caucasian. Oh, they're the minority now. And I'm like thinking, why we had to get through? I want to say something, but I don't know how to say it. And I didn't like that because it's like it's almost like a division with the kitchen
Hmm.
department. Like what's going on with that? I didn't like it. So it was I didn't expect that, but this is coming from an executive chef. This is where we're going. Either you
And
work
that's the
together.
issues I have. If
Yeah.
like like it's not a black and white issue with me. Me is more an
Yeah.
issue is why are you doing that? If
Yeah.
that's not right, if you're
No,
supposed to
it's
be the
not.
leader, you're supposed to. I have literally went to bat, to hang on, Dale. I mean, you have the floor right after this. All right, to bat. I mean, I will fought tooth and nail people who are different race than me, even
Yeah.
different sex, that I know they can do the fucking job very, 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 very well. I don't
Yeah.
care what's between your legs. I don't care what's on your skin. If you can be an awesome fucking chef or awesome cook or whatever you want to call yourself,
Yeah.
that's all I care about. End of the day.
Yeah.
Go ahead, David.
No, I understand where you're coming from. Now, I say the first person to be blamed for this is the man who's sitting in the White House right now. And the reason why I'm saying this,
Hmm.
since Obama took office, the environment that he started from there is to cause a level of division. So wherever environment you're in the workforce, either you're in tech or in hospitality or in office, you're in construction, whatever will be the minority group will end up being the target due to the environment that have been created already, that a level of division among themselves. Unless you have a manager or a leader who don't have time or room for that, they only dispel that in type of environment. I was the team lead. I was a supervisor at one point. I don't allow that in my watch. I don't care about who the minority. You're all a team player. You're all unit. If one person looks bad, we all look bad. That type of mindset I carry within myself. So I don't
Yeah.
believe in pointing finger or targeting people. But there are some people who are affected by this political climate whereby they want to be in the level of division. If you think I'm wrong, you better know what we have dealt with for the past 2 or 3 years, the day of the FBA, ADOS, and so on and so forth. That have been another level of division that we have to deal with within our own community. Because now they don't want to be considered as one group. They want to be separated now, all of a sudden.
Hmm.
The Afro Latina, one group. African, one group. The FBA, ADOS, one group. And I found out in a level of ignorance. I understand the reason why they do that, but when you divide yourself so much, you weaken the power that you have as well. You don't have allies. You end up creating division among yourself, which is not needed.
Yeah.
That is factual. It's happening not only in this country soil, it's happening on a global scale right now. Everybody is on edge because of the type of environment we are in. And to me, it's beyond annoying. I'm a workaholic individual. I don't care if you're black, blue, brown, green, orange, probably look like Piccolo. I could care less. If you can do the job, you can be a great team player. I will literally work with you. Period. I ain't got time. And I know this statement have been very volatile, but depending on this, when somebody say I don't see color, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna mention that statement. Never made war with anybody.
And again, it's no offense to Sparta, because I understand where he's coming from with the statement. I know he's saying it from a good choice, but we debated this when we started the gray area show.
Of course.
That is a big difference between us. That I see color very well and I embrace it. So it's but I get the sentiment. I'm not trying to get him to change his view on that. But yeah, we do see the world a little bit differently. And again, David, you talk about back Obama's time. Again, this really started in 2006. This didn't
I
really happen until that when he became a candidate for president
I see what
is
you're
when
saying.
all the dog whistle came out. Back
I
then,
remember. I remember. I
that's
remember.
when the
Yeah.
churches got split. Because again, in the 90s and in the early 2000s, everybody was talking about non-denominational, multicultural churches.
But I remember that too. Thank you for
When
remembering.
Obama became on the scene, all these people started to hear this dog whistle, because a lot of those multicultural churches were still headed by white pastors.
True.
And we started hearing some things. It's like I wasn't part of one, but I know people have gone, and I've gone to them, because you had a lot of black people who were
I was
saying,
trying to.
"Yeah, go come
I'm
to
here.
my church because we got everybody. We got black, white, we got everybody there, whatnot." I'm in there and I'm listening, and I start hearing some things, and a lot of those congregants started to hear some things. It's like, wait a minute, why is this sounding different? We've had other candidates for president before. Why is this sound, and not in a positive way? So this seeding has been growing for a while, but again, this has always happened when people of color have broken traditional ethnic lines.
Norms.
Then you want to start
There's a
talking
problem.
about division. So again, that's always something I'm going to be sensitive. I'm all up for having the conversation. I'll never shy away from the conversation. But all this
Oh, I'll
talk,
be honest with you.
it
I
just starts.
agree 100%. I'm sorry to cut you off. I agree with you 100%. It doesn't matter what your race is. If you can do the goddamn job, then do it.
Right.
That's all I care about end of the day.
Right. But I would add one more caveat to that, Pete.
Yeah, go
'Cause
ahead. Go
again,
ahead.
I'm not disagreeing with you on that. Amen and amen, hallelujah, and praise the Lord. I'm not disagreeing there. I would say this: David worked in corporate just like I do. I don't know if Sean's had experience in corporate. A lot of times, if you're black, and I'm sure for other minorities as well, it's beyond just the skill set. It's how you present yourself has to be different. Like, I'll be honest, I work with a ton of white people who talk exactly like you in corporate America, and they get away with it, and no one bats an eye at it. If you're black and had your language, people would look at that very differently.
You mean my cursing?
Yes.
Yes.
Really?
If you're in
Yes.
corporate, I've had managers who will just go and just into these swear fests and just go. But
Yes.
if you are a minority, it's not just your skills, it is your conduct. Because a white guy, you can get upset and you can curse out everybody in the office. If I got upset in the office, not alone our size, me and David, we're pretty big guys. We also have to be mindful of our stature. Because if I raise my voice, that intimidates some people. And then we start getting this angry black man trope, or if a sister gets upset, this angry black woman trope, then people start looking at us a little bit different. But you can, if you're a European, you can rant and rage and whatnot, but it's the same thing in sports. Back in the
And let me
day,
add to
hang on,
that
David.
one real quickly.
Back in the day, again, when you've seen athletes go off, black players go off, all these things, all these attributes are attributed to them. But if it's John McEnroe, he's passionate.
Mhm.
If it's Serena Williams, that's an angry black woman. So again, the standard by which we are judged, forget the skill set. If it's us, we got an attitude. If it's them, they're passionate. If a fight breaks out on a basketball court, they're animals and thugs. If you go to a hockey game, it just goes with the sport. So again, so we got that extra layer. We have to almost be we almost have to mute ourselves. A lot of times, if you get two or three black people congregating in the office a little bit too long,
That's the problem.
yeah, we got to. All right, they watch David. They're watching this, right? All right, we got it. I'll holler at you later, but we don't want to intimidate people because again, a group of gathering of us, 5, 6 guys at the lunch table congregating, it creates an atmosphere that becomes uncomfortable for people, and we get looked at.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to dab up. We got to be ourselves after work. I'll meet you at the after work spot, and then we can kind of cut. We can act the fool in. So it's not just the skills; it's also what you present and how you project. We have to be we have to be multicultural in every sense to keep certain people comfortable and be able to do the job with a proficiency and an excellence that oftentimes exceeds that of others who may not have to do as much. So, like I said earlier, twice as hard to get half as far.
And I will say that to Albert with the benefit, a Army veteran who was working at UBS. He's around 6'2", 6'3", big guy. I look at him like a big brother and everything. One of the managers let me know what happened to the guy. I always come to him for advice because he knows his stuff. When I didn't see him for a while, I was asking him what happened. What happened? The manager knew, but he wanted to tell me in front of the other manager. He put me aside and tell me that, you know what, I let him go? I let him go. They feel like he was intimidating. So he's a big black dude. Broad, loved to play chess. He was like a teddy bear. But the exec were feeling some kind of way because they felt like they can't scream at him or they can't shout him because he's too big and he's too tall.
Yeah,
So that's the
David,
reason for
that's
letting
not
him go.
right. None of that stuff you guys saying is right. It's not fair for you guys.
But it happened. But it happens. It happens. We are put on a standard where we have perform above everybody else. What he said was totally. We can't
I can't
go
go
out
in
of
there
our
and
limbs
just
or
say MF for this, that.
we can't.
I can't do that.
That's our job
That
immediately.
is you, yeah. Because someone's going to HR and filing a complaint. I'm
Bingo.
feeling threatened or intimidated. And it's a wrap.
I have to work like I'm on eggshell every single day, avoid anyone and everyone, just to keep my job. If someone trying to trigger me, I have to brush it off. Or in some case, I go to the office, close the door, do some push up, and take off the steam. We had to, I hate to say it, don't give you the perfect example who do that. The perfect ad kisser. I'm sorry to say it. No, I'm sorry. Stevie A. Smith. Yes, I said it. He'd work again to keep his job. But to speak for the right thing for the right reason, he's not going to do it. So he understands the culture. I had to be super professional at my job. I can't be myself at my job. I gotta keep it corporate at my job. I can't say, yo, what's no, that's the problem. This is happening in white collar arena a lot more than we expected. Don't take my word for it. Don't take me to benefit. Find another tech who work in white collar America. They'll tell you the same thing. And you ask another, they'll tell you the same. You ask them, they'll tell you the same exact thing. This has been going on for too long. There have been a culture already. You think this culture was bad? What about the culture they had in Fox? Tell me how they were operating. They let things slide for so long until somebody blew the whistle. You explain that culture to me. There'll be a bunch of black that do the same exact thing. You think they will last that long until we don't get arrested? No, no, I'm being real. I know Mr. Bennett's
I
laughing.
know, but so
I'm being
I'm agreeing because it's just it would be like unbelievable if that if that happened. But yeah,
but that
I'm laughing
happens
because
for
I'm
a
agreeing.
good long period of time before tomorrow blow. Let it be among black exec do exactly that. It will not last long enough. They will blow with you quicker than you think. That is the culture that have been embedded. Now, they might sound a low blow. Then tell me why all the black Wall Street towns have been destroyed. Why is that? That is documented in history to the point they don't want to put it in books. They kept it hidden. When a black town that's social fiction don't need handout, we're better than other community. What thing happened to those communities? You can argue the facts. Either we like it or we don't. You work hard, you become a excellent tech, you try and go to the next level. No, 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 no. They don't like the fact you're doing too good. They're gonna look for someone to sabotage you. I've been told you can't be a great tech, you gotta be a good tech. Just learn how to play the game, play the system. What I was taught is put your best foot forward no matter where you go. Then they say pull yourself up your bootstrap, but when we do that, you won't cut us down our kneecap. Now explain that this is why I said that individual who passed away was running his mouth the wrong way. And he don't realize a lot of people take that in serious offense because they don't know what we have been dealing in these multiple arenas. So don't say that we are not qualified. And when you show your credentials, we have people with not only bachelor degrees, masters, PhD, double degree, and you're still not qualified. Are you kidding me? Are you really gonna go there? They bring the whole credential, and you still got a problem? No, 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 no. That's when I know you're gaslighting to the highest level. Then you have people who have the experience, the expertise, and they'll show you their work ethic consistently, non-stop, to the point that you have people who, you better know this, they'll continue to task them, put one more extra workload on that person and see if they go break. But you and then three other people are in the same department, but your workload three times theirs. They do a little small workload and go home and eat the same check you get paid, but you do way more workload, but you don't get extra paid for that. That continue to happen. It's never going to end, either you like it or you don't. This is why when I hear they talk about merit, unless you have high qualification on paper, no one should say that thing out of their mouth, including putting in the top office. If you gotta hide your embarrassment because you know you're not on that level, don't say it. I don't care about the followers out there, but the truth will be the truth. Are you educated enough? Are you qualified? Are you schooled? Are you well trained enough to do this job? If you're not, then shut up.
The only thing I wouldn't say pushback on what you said, but again, ultimately, it's about doing what is required of you. Because the qualifications could be on paper, but again, can you carry out what the supervisor wants you to do, ethical or not? Because that is what we're seeing, right?
Hmm.
It's not about qualifications. It's like, are you going to do his bidding, his or her bidding, no questions asked? So again, so sometimes qualifications, again, what's on paper really isn't what's actually being asked of you. And that goes to several different jobs. Like, look, if I'm going to hire somebody, in fact, we talked about this last week on the show, talking about the interview process. Like, what goes into your resume should be, your qualifications are important, and your work experience is important. But what a lot of employers are looking for, because you have a lot of quote unquote qualified people to do the job, but you're asking for, there might be other attributes. So like a lot of times in a resume, you put, if you're multilingual, that's an attribute. It has nothing to do with, like, if you're a programmer, but you're multilingual, that can be an asset in some capacity somewhere. If you're community involved or socially active in certain things, that can make the difference, because all you're talking about is a decision, and sometimes decisions are made in a the least advantage that you have could be the difference between the two. And so when you're putting this resume together, it's about highlighting those things that says, hey, I can look at, and then you get to the interview, the interview, I'm not going to give too much away, but even in the interview, how you look, how you speak, how you dress. Well, look at Mariana. I think you can solve that thing in probably 10 seconds. You one of them, you one of those Rubik's geniuses who can solve it in 10 seconds.
I wish.
That's on my that is actually on my bucket list, though. Because I've solved other puzzle games in the past. I've never solved the Rubik's Cube. That's on my bucket list. Yeah. And when I'm retired, when I'm not working, I have nothing else. Yeah. I'm just going to focus on that thing like 5 hours a day. And I'm going to solve that thing to a point where not only I figure it out. So
I always try to figure that out. And
you will find
I'm
knock on the door.
That's on
my, drop the cube. Drop it.
Yes, that's going to be on my. Put that on my tombstone. He solved the Rubik's Cube before he passed. But what I was saying was, it's Again, how you look, how you dress, how you
Yeah.
speak. It's like sometimes, and Pete, you hired people,
Mhm.
right? It doesn't mean the guy isn't a good cook, but he's just weird. Because you got to think about how that person is going to interact with the team that you already have. You're bringing people on your team, and there has to be a good synergy, a good relationship. So yeah, can the guy? Yeah, he can code his butt off, or he can cook his butt off, or her butt off. But they're odd in some way. And so yeah, so that you cannot remove that component from the process. So again, qualifications matter. Qualifications, I would say, is probably 70-80% of is qualifications.
Mhm.
Everything else is about environment, and everything else is about team dynamic, because a lot of those skills can be learned. I remember, I think I told you about this last year. Before I got the job that I had, I got 2 job offers on the same day. And the one job that I had, I was transparent. I didn't think I had the skill set that they were quite looking for. I had knowledge, but I wasn't there were other guys who were, or people who were more skilled than I was for the position. But once I started talking about my experience, because we used the same platform, and we basically underwent the same uh, 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 software upgrade. They were going to Oracle, David. They were going to Oracle database.
Mm.
We went through the exact same thing the last year. She wanted somebody on the application, someone with a specific skill set in AP accounts payable. I had knowledge of it, but I wasn't an expert, and I was transparent about that. But when I talked about the situations that we had to deal with the upgrade, and the issues that we had after the upgrade was done, she was vibing with me, because she was like, yeah, this person, even though they might not have the skill sets, I can teach them that.
Mhm.
But what's more important is, can this person work in a chaotic environment when stuff's going to not work right on day one?
Mhm.
And I was able to demonstrate that. And I talked to her, then I talked to her Veep, and he asked me this question, is like, are you willing to get your hands dirty? I'm like, are you serious? I mean, that's what I do. You know what I'm saying? That was like the easiest, like, softball question he could have gave me. Am I willing to get my hands dirty? So they were like, boom, let's get him. He may not have all the skills, but we want him. But the job I had, bottom line is, they couldn't match the compensation and the pay scale, which ultimately made the decision.
Let me add to that.
So again, so there's these elements that all go into this conversation. Qualifications matter, but also attitude and
Mhm.
personality matters.
Mhm.
Cost also matter. If you're talking about trying to hire an American programmer versus an Indian one, or a Chinese one, or a one in Saudi Arabia,
Mhm.
I might be the best,
Mhm.
but you're going to pay me 70, $80 an hour. But if I can pay a guy $40 an hour, I don't care if his English is bad. I don't care, but he can program. I may
Mhm.
go there. So there's a lot of nuance to this conversation. But it didn't. My only thing is, it didn't start recently.
Yeah.
It has always been that way.
But it got worse
Yeah.
lately.
In
Can we agree on that?
What's that? I don't. How can it be worse when my people were slaves for 246 years and got no money? No, it's not worse than it has
I
ever
feel,
been.
again, I might be speaking out of terms, and I do apologize if I offend you, Paul.
Mhm.
But I feel like the '90s and early 2000s, we didn't have these issues. My 2010s, it was starting to get bad again.
And my only pushback would be what happened in 2008.
Mhm.
And there was a major change that happened in this country in 2008.
Mhm.
And then it became an issue.
Mhm.
Not before. It was always there. But
Mhm.
like I said, it's always happens when us. Because let's face it, we're all minorities here.
Hmm.
Mhm.
We're all ethnic. We're not European. We're not wasps here.
Mhm.
All of us have had to deal with something. When Greeks came here, y'all had to deal with stuff. Mariana, your background, where you're from, everybody's got to deal with
Hmm.
stuff
Yeah,
here.
I agree
Mhm.
100%.
Mhm.
So this idea that again, when we enter the room, people gonna look at how we look with our accents,
Mhm.
and that's gonna be judged.
Yeah.
I want to add to what Paul Bennett is saying. You're totally correct. I've done a lot of interviews last year and this year, not saying for action. But what I did know to my warn me about this, there's some interviewers that are slick. They will give you to now your question and see what you know how to troubleshoot or how you go about it. And me, at first, I never worried about it. I will go into the full mode and explain in process, going from step by step, proceeded by to how you fix that issue, how you troubleshoot that issue. Let it be known that I am the right person for the job. I have had the experience to deal with this level of chaos. But when I've done interview whereby I knocked out the ballpark, I didn't get the job. I was told it went for somebody with less experience. This let me know. Somebody telling me that sometimes these HR or whatever they're doing, they see they can steal ideas from you to fix certain situation they could not resolve. So I had to be careful, and sometimes it's hard not to hold back. But me being a nerd, if I
Mhm.
know the process, I will break down the procedure from start to finish. And what are the red flag you need to be looking for in case this didn't happen? You're dealing with migration. I've been there, done. I'll show how to go out to the whole process. In case this doesn't work, you try this method. This method doesn't work, you try that method. I've done all that on multiple interviews. What I find it very unusual, if they're looking for someone who's a great fit for the job and people are showcasing they're a great fit for the job and no one have got quoted, how come you don't hire that person? What is the problem? Mr. Bennett is totally correct. Sometimes looking for someone who's much less or they're being biased. And since this has been going on for a while now, so I always ask myself the question, are you looking for the right person for the job or looking for an ass kisser? Which one is it?
Mhm.
Which is sometimes the right person. I'm not justifying. I'm just saying as is. Yeah, sometimes they do want the butt kisser.
Mhm.
They don't want a guy who's going to check in and say, "Look, you're going about this wrong. Here's
Mhm.
why." They don't want
Mhm.
that. They want someone who's just going to follow the directive or whatever. If you do the job, they get the credit.
Or even if they tell
Mhm.
you to do the
So
or
yeah,
even if they tell you to do the
so
job
sometimes that
and I
is
end up doing the wrong thing, they'll take you to one to blame.
exactly. But and that's what they want. They want the fall. They want the fall. You got to be the fall guy
Mhm.
because they definitely gonna blame you if it goes off. You definitely gonna be the sacrificial lamb, no question. They'll hang you to dry. But if you do well, they'll be like, it's all because of them that they did. They'll take all the credit. So that's the again corporate environment. Again, we worked in. You guys worked in certainly the social, the service industry, the food,
Yeah,
the food
we're
industry,
in food slash corporate dining.
right? But again, it could be different worlds, and that's another thing we got to also look at as well. These are different worlds that
That I'll give you
that we're
100%.
come. So we can only share. David and I, we can only share
The tech
from
side.
that experience, and certainly people who we've known in the industry and as well as under other
So
industries.
imagine the medical field will be like. And that's a whole different ballgame.
But they better get used to it because I mean, when I went to Grenada, look, the the number of doctors that are being churned out, they're black women, men, they're women of color, they're coming. When the guy who started the medical school in Grenada, when he started, they had 200 students. 5 of them were women. When I went to the white coat, it was like 70% of the student population that year was women. So you better get used to it. If you think this is going to be like Mad Men or whatever, or the male only club, that's changing.
I agree with that too.
And so so yeah, so I think that what what I'm hopeful of, and again, this could be naive in and of itself too, that with the younger generations, because it seems like across the board, not in every instance, obviously, but a lot of them seem to be less caught up on this stuff than my generation did. Again, I grew up in the Black Power 70s movement, where being black and proud. So I'm one of those blackity black people.
Really, I couldn't tell.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. So like David, and the guys that I was with, like Nigerians that I knew that we were students with, we didn't even talk about our ethnicities. David was black and I was black. The organization I was in college was 100 black men. And we named ourselves that because prior to that, 100 black men did not graduate from Rutgers in 1 year. And that was an academic goal that we set. We wanted to have every year 100 black men graduating Rutgers every year. That was part of the genesis of the organization. So it was focused on academics, but it also focused on cultural empowerment. So if you were David from Nigeria or Ghana, South Africa, Jamaica, you were black. We kind of branded ourselves that because we felt at the time, as David said earlier, we couldn't afford to be ADOS or Nigerian because there was too few of us. We had to pull together all those things that happened in the 60s. Black people, it didn't matter where you came from.
Now,
We had to be united.
now it's
Now,
divided.
Mariana, you come from two different ethnicities, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Back then,
Yeah.
it did your ethnicity didn't matter.
Yeah.
Y'all had to be whatever you guys were. But at some point in time, folks decided, well, I want to be this and we need to be that. And you're so much different from us that we had all those wars. So you're from like Czechoslovakia? I mean, at that former
No,
what's
former
what
Yugoslavia. Basically, my father said from
Yugoslavia.
yeah, because my father born in at the time Yugoslavia. He asked me for Romanian born Yugoslavia. My mom is Serbian born in Serbia. So at the
Right.
time, Yugoslavia have very many different ethnicity.
Right.
So yeah, so
But at the time though, in those times, it was basically looked at, it was still like one nation though.
yes, yes,
But you see what happens though when people get fractured and be like,
yeah,
even within the country,
yes,
you got to be your and that's where things
yeah,
are.
yeah,
Well, imagine what Africa could be. Imagine what Nigeria could
yeah,
be if the Igbos, Yorubas, and I forget the other major
Hausa.
one, Hausas, if they said, bump all this, we gonna make Nigeria for Nigerians of any. That would be a problem.
yeah,
It will be a threat anyway because they don't. Let's be
Yeah,
real.
I mean, you talk about people talk about Burkina Faso or whatnot. If Nigeria got their stuff together, but they're just plays on. Not if Nigeria got their act
Oh,
together,
it'd
man,
be more than a problem.
yeah, yeah. So we're all we're all trying to figure this out. We all want. I think all of us can agree on this. If we've had some disagreement tonight, which I don't mind having, and I love you guys very much, we all want the same thing. We all want opportunity
Yeah, I agree 100%.
to show what we can do and to be compensated and rewarded and praised for the work and the labor that we do, to be appreciated for what we have. That's all we want. And I'm willing to put my work ethic up against anybody. I just got that swag like that. David too, and I know Pete and you guys ball out. You want me to show? Oh, you want me to show? Oh, I'll show you.
And that's the fact. I'm the same way. I let people know I'm not gonna speak to you about it. I let my work speak for someone. You see what I do? Don't complain. If the bar down high enough, I'm gonna rate it even higher. And that's the complaint I get. Calm down, you're doing too fast, you're doing too much. I said, I'm not doing enough.
Yeah. You just, I'll be up. My daughter was, I was laughing. It's like, man, I gotta work next few weeks. I gotta work 9, 10 hours a day. It's like, oh, I'm like,
That's normal for us.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I mean, there'd be days that'd be like 12, 14 hours, easy, 16 hours. We got a release going in. Oh, that's 16 hours. That's all weekend on call, all weekend long. How many times I've been on this show and it's like, oh, what are you doing? I'm working. I got 3 screens right here. I'm working while actually still on the show.
I'm doing it right now as I'm talking to you guys. I'm working on the next couple of
Exactly.
menus.
So that's what. So we know the real. We know what we bring to the table. And all I'm saying is, um, just keep that door open and let those who show and prove, let those people get the rewards from what they do. That's what, no one can ask any more or less from anybody than that. So imagine all of us. We're pretty diverse looking here. We're all going for the same job. We're going into the kitchen. May the best man or woman win. And I'll applaud you. I'll be like, dab up, you did great, and then move on.
I think what
Then there might be another opportunity somewhere
I
else.
think the era of finding good bosses or good managers are almost long gone because there were
There you go,
days,
David.
there were
And
days
me,
I've been around managers who recognize hardworking people. They don't want to lose those kind of people. They want to keep them to this. I said, nah, this is my key player. This is the one I can rely on. I've been in
Hmm.
place whereby the boss will call me, yo, Dave. I don't want to say it for everybody, but I know you're in your off day, but I want you to come to work. I need to have you cover for this and thing. I don't trust think about truck. I know you get a job. Don't worry. I'll have to inspect you for you. To have that type of boss, or have that manager who have that faith in you, know you will do that job, want to keep you there longer instead of you
Hmm.
working for people. The fact that they have an issue, you doing better than other people, and they also make your life a living hell. That's the thing I hate. So that's what I'm saying. The era of having good manager, good bosses is almost
Hmm.
completely lost. All we have, I hate to say it, a complete ultimate a-holes
Hmm.
who want their ego get stroked. Like he said, you do all the work and they take the credit. I
Yep.
work in a big fashion company, Estee Lauder. I was, trust me, Mariana, if you was in a
Hmm.
nurse night area, you found out I was working every day, missing my lunch, burning myself to the ground, you will come
Hmm.
and drive me one day, you're going to lunch. You will yank me out and say, no, you need to go and eat. I said, I got a lot of work on my queue.
Yeah.
If sometimes they do you dirty, they put too much in your queue and they'll be the one be there, don't you have this X amount taking your queue? Why they keep on not realizing they don't want to put it on on you on purpose and they complain about you not fitting on your workload.
Wow.
So when you're in that zone,
Hmm.
you better know this. When you're in that zone, you're in the zone, you don't think about food no more.
Nope.
Let me bring my ticket queue down so I can eat.
You just
I'm
want,
just
you like your mindset. You're looking for like a stop, right? You're looking. I gotta, let me knock this out, and then once you knock it out, then it's like a mindset. I think I could do 5 more.
Hmm. Yeah.
And then you'd be like, all right, I got to, okay, cut. I got
and
to
that
break
is my
off.
bad habit. I don't get out of that zone very easy. If I come into work, I got 50 tickets in my queue. I am locked in to bring all that 50 ticket down, down to maybe 4 or 5, like a breather. And I will forget the time and just keep on working, keep on working, keep on working. Before, oh, it's almost time to leave. I'm like, oh, shit, I haven't get my lunch yet. That become a regular thing to me and was bad. But what do you want me to do when you have managers be calling you, why you have 30 tickets in your queue, or why you have 40 tickets in your queue, why you have this going on, or they need you for this. Can you drop what you're doing and come to the other building? You got an executive need this thing to get done. When you're locked in your work, you zone, you forget about yourself. And I do that a little bit too
Yeah.
much. Reason why I'm trying to keep my job and get the job done. Let me just knock this thing out of the way and avoid the headache. Then when I get time, I can sit down and eat. The only thing I like about my Estelada job, we have free milk. We got a fridge in our office. So what did I do? I bought a couple of cereal boxes here, put in that cabinet. I bought my cereal bowl, got my spoon. If I can't go out to eat, okay, cereal. It kind of ghetto in a way, but what do you want me to do when they have me going up and down between Midtown Manhattan and 42nd Street, going back and forth all over the place and going, you don't got time to sit. Yeah, keep moving.
Yeah.
Not the tech industry. If you Mr. Bennett shoe, oh God forbid, Mr. Bennett, I want you to go to New Jersey, take care of those Soviet agents. Then after that, you need to go to Chicago. You take care of that thing, and after that, you need to go. You think that's a breather
Yeah.
for us to chill? And some of us, I hate to say it, we take our work home with us, and we, even though we want to be relaxed, and we're thinking about what to do the next day when we get there. Okay, I need to work on this. Okay, I need to fix this. And sometimes we take note until this time we're going to do, or we research what how to resolve our issue. We take our work home because our nature of our job keep us on our foot. We are the problem solvers. If we don't solve the problem, they let us go. Am I wrong, Mr. Bennett?
Nope.
That is IT. If you cannot solve the problem, you're not needed here.
Yeah.
So that's the irony of our profession. And sometimes I never took a vacation over 28 years, but sometimes I don't think about vacation anymore because I'm afraid if I take. Mr. Bennett know the joke. There's more tech professionals don't take vacation because they fear if they take vacation, the moment they're on vacation, everything collapses. Am I wrong, Mr.
Mm.
Bennett? They
Yeah.
are techs.
Especially like I said, when we were doing those upgrades, you had people who were like really because they had weeks because you can only get like up to 3 weeks vacation. And they couldn't afford to take the time off. So everybody had this time, and nor would they compensate them for it. Because a lot of people was like, look, if I can't take my vacation, can I sell my vacation to somebody else? Hey, you want to buy you out of vacation time? You want my because a lot of guys will go to India, whatnot. That's 3 weeks minimum, right? You don't just go to India for a week and then back. That's 3 weeks. Hey, I need some more vacation time. It's like, look, you're out. Well, can I get it for somebody? Hey, I'll sell you mine. Pay me $1,500 or whatever. Here's a 5 days of vacation time if you want it. Nobody wants to do that. But you had a lot of people who was like, once you're capped out, they're not going to increase it. And now I'm good because it'll stay there. Some companies are like, okay, if you don't use it, you lose it. But I haven't had the time to take it. But you're gonna lose it anyway. So it's like, so that's not fair
Mm.
either.
So that's our profession, like I said. The fear of taking a vacation because you feel like if you take a vacation, you come back while you're on a vacation, did happen. And you feel like, why did I take a vacation in the first place? If you're the reliable person.
Mhm.
Mr. Bennett know that very well. That's like a curse for anybody in the tech in the industry. If you're a very reliable person and you're the one that clean up mess that other people cannot clean, you have a fear of taking a vacation because you feel like if you take a vacation, something goes wrong, either you cut your vacation short or you come back and hear the bad news. And
Mm.
some people take their job a little bit too serious.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I would not one put because I want to make sure I do an excellent job. I want to say, oh, I dropped the ball. No, let me make sure everything's running fine. And I'll create my contingency plan, get something going, they can go and check the cheat sheet, just how to fix it, then how to fix that. So you have to worry about it, but sometimes you can't trust. I can't say you can't trust your teammate, but there are places where you feel like you can't trust your teammate. You gotta be the big brother of your team. Make sure everything's in order. Because if something goes wrong, the boss will be complaining. The first to go look for is you because you're the reliable one.
Mhm.
Mm.
So that's the tech.
Though what I would wish I would have learned a little bit earlier, David, was certainly, I think certainly as we get older, again, the playing field still isn't quite the same for us
I know.
as it is for others, but we gotta learn how to leverage that somehow. You know what I mean? If I want time off, you're gonna have, because and I heard this comment from I think Bill Russell, former great Boston Celtic player. Um, he said that his role in the job would be to say that, um, basically screw you if I leave this job, meaning that even if the boss doesn't like you, he has to recognize your worth to such that it would take him so long to replace you
Mhm.
that you can use some leverage. Now again,
Mhm.
some can use it better than others, but I think that's one thing as I'm learning, as I'm getting into the I guess I'm not landing yet, but I would say I'm kind of you know on the other side of my career
Mhm.
to utilize more um, of, especially as I get more proficient with the job that I have. Because I see it. I see people who take liberties that you and I wouldn't dream of taking. You got people who call out for any
Oh,
reason.
No, don't
and
get me
it's,
started with that shit. You really
oh
want me to
my
go on
God.
a fucking
Oh my
I
rampage?
mean,
God.
it's
and get
just
and they're able to keep their job. They're still able to keep their
Yeah.
job.
and get promoted.
Yeah.
so that's a so getting wiser in on how to do that. Again, I'm not looking to abuse. I like to earn what I make.
Mhm.
In fact, when I my mindset in the last few years, especially when I went in for this job, and I told them straight up, my goal here is for you guys to underpay me. I told them that in the interview.
Mhm.
My job is to get you guys to underpay me because I'm going to be so valuable to you that whatever this salary is now that you're giving me that I'm accepting, you'll be like, man, he's underpaid. That's just like I said, that's a swagger, that's an attitude, that's a mindset. That's why I learned everything. Even at my age, a lot of guys they'd be like, "Oh, well, I'm just gonna cruise in to retirement." It's like, nah, I'm still learning. I had to learn some stuff today. Like I'm still. It's like, man, you got to go do. Bring it on. I don't care what it is. If I got to learn it, I got to learn it. Bring it on.
Mhm.
And so, so again, I'm always you're not gonna you may know more than I do,
Mhm.
but you're not gonna outwork me. And I'm gonna get if I get an opportunity to know what you know, I'm gonna get it.
Mhm.
So that's just a mind an attitude I have. But again, for those of us who've been in corporate, those who've done well and survive, again, I can get into a room with a bunch of guys and guys and women, and we all kind of have the same story.
Mhm.
No one gave us anything. More times than not, they doubted what we could do. They had bias against us, and we had to ball out. So
Yeah.
And that's the truth. This is something that we've been dealing with for years. And the fact that we are talking about it right now today is just to let you know there's many of us who will be speaking about. I mean, we did a show before BMU and talk about people in the teaching industry and the education industry, and they walked out because they realized they are pushing themselves beyond the limit, pulling money out of their bank account to buy material for their classroom and getting little in return. It's like being a teacher is no longer rewarded like it used to be anymore. People are walking away with that profession because they got tired and burnt out. We have these type of discussions before. It's just that people are not trying to really wake up and realize, okay, you need to be a level of respect for these such professions. There need to be. But in the environment where you are in, there won't be any. So right now, so since you want to talk about nationality, somebody is running a joke. Like, what if every black man or every black person leave the country, leave the U.S.? What do you think the country gonna be like? What you think is really gonna happen? Will the country survive or last without black people in the country? I see the theory, I laugh about, but here's the problem. Every ethnic group play their part in this nation, one way or the
yeah,
other. This idea of make the country white again is the most retarded, asinine mentality ever. It needs to stop.
and yeah,
I'm finding
yeah,
more and more things have been lied upon because there's a lot of invention that never been done by white. It's actually by black people But yeah, white people taking credit for it. Like Mr. Bennett say, we do the work, they take the credit. So how much gaslighting are you going to continue to live by in this nation?
Yeah.
I would like to know.
Yeah. Then the last thing I'd probably want to say on this issue is I I I have benefited personally, professionally from a diverse workplace. I have. I mean, I literally sit in offices or I've sat in offices with panels that look like this. Folks from the Middle East, folks from India, folks from Asia, folks from Yugoslavia, Macedonia.
Hmm.
I mean, I've never said thought that me embracing being a black person meant that I got to exclude everybody else. The fact that I'm confident and comfortable in my blackness allows me to explore and take an interest in other people. Like Pete, you know me. I'm always asking you about Greek
Yeah.
culture. David, I'm always asking about how Nigerians or Igbos are. I'm always Marion. If I had more time with
Mhm.
you, I would always ask you about your background, your culture, your people, what you guys think, your music, your food, your attitudes. I appreciate that. So
Mhm.
when I say I don't see color, yeah, I really I mean I see color, yeah, because I want to know
Mhm.
because you're beautiful. Because it is an expression of the human experience. I want to know how people think and act and have different cultural practices or views than I do. I've gotten I think my humanity has been enhanced
Mhm.
by being in a culturally diverse environment. And so no, I don't want to necessarily see all black people in one location or all white people or whatever in
Mhm.
everything. No, I'm big on diversity
Mhm.
and I have no problem with using diversity as a criteria in hiring. Yes, you want qualified
Mhm.
people. Yes. But if I can get something from Mariana, if I can get something from Pete, if I can get something from David, and we can learn how to collaborate, celebrate Diwali that's coming up next week, celebrate Nigerian independence, celebrate Greek holiday. Mariana, you got some holidays in your culture that are important to you that's specific. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, let's do that.
I found out there's a restaurant in Times Square called Lagos NYC. So during the Independence Day, they expect you to come in keyword dress code is elegance. In other
I got you.
words,
Mhm.
if you can get that African
I got you.
outfit,
But I'm
rent
right.
it.
I'm just saying, yeah. I'm just saying I don't mind celebrating even within a corporate culture.
Mhm.
I think it is beautiful when we can all recognize and see where we come from and to hear how we got to where we are. And then to realize this is the whole point of the whole gray area show.
Hmm.
We all come from different places and spaces, but we're here.
Mhm.
Let's talk about it. Let's celebrate it.
Mhm.
And I think those teams, I think you're creating better human beings. Because guess what? When you go home, Mariana can say, if you hear something about us and you know that's not correct,
Mhm.
you can look at me and say, no, that's not true. Because I know
Mhm.
a Mr. Bennett. I know a Black David.
Mhm.
No, you're wrong about what you're saying about when your people say stuff about other people. And we all got people who do that.
Mhm.
I don't think we have to sugarcoat that
Mhm.
either. No, you're wrong. Someone wants to say something about Nigerians, it's like, nah, hold up.
Mhm.
Nah, that's a stereotype. No, not all of them like that. Because I know David. And don't tell me about, oh, well, Greeks do this and that. No, I don't want to hear that either. Because I know Pete. So it's what you also bring to your families and the generations that come after you.
Mhm.
I love going into places where I said Comic Con, and we just talked about that last
Mhm.
week. Everybody's there.
Mhm.
Every ethnicity, every color, every sexuality. You may not like all that. I'm just saying it's there. It's everybody. You had people with MAGA hats on, MAGA 47 hats on. You had people probably have no political affiliation whatsoever.
Mhm.
But it's humanity. So yeah, if I was in HR, I'm gonna have a highly competent, qualified, diverse workplace
Mhm.
of men and women. And yeah, I may have people from the LGBTQ. I may have people from this. I want everybody.
Mhm.
If you can do the job, I want you there.
Mhm.
If I feel someone's not represented, I'm going to go into that pool. I have no problem in admitting I got this place. All right. I got 90% white. I got to do something about that
Mhm.
because I know there's talent out there that nobody's looking at. No one's paying attention.
Mhm.
So yeah. So you know, I don't think it's necessarily worse. Just to get back to the theme of the show,
Mhm.
I think people are challenging it or trying to portray it as being worse than it is because it may be favoring another people. And let's be real here. Now, this might be the most controversial thing I'm going to say tonight.
Mhm.
America is browning.
Mhm.
It just is. It's the wasp. The wasps are going to be the minority in this country
Mhm.
within the next 5 to 10 years. And that is scaring a lot of people. It shouldn't. If you're a wasp, if you marry a black person, I got no problem with that. The kids that you have, yeah, they won't be waspy anymore, but they're still beautiful kids.
Mhm.
Who cares?
Mhm.
But unfortunately, you do have a lot of people who do care.
Mhm.
And they're worried about being replaced or having this country look very different than if you look at all those presidents that we had up until 2008. People are very scared about what comes after that. And I think those are things that we have to be conscious of and we have to be diligent about, not looking necessarily at our specific circumstances, but look at the big picture. America is changing. It's getting more diverse ethnically, what have you. Women are going into roles that they were excluded from for a long time. And so we either going to embrace it or we're going to have this culture war going on or talking about how bad things are or whatever. But we all got to get, us, this four of us, we got to get our stuff together. And we got to be about, this breaking stereotypes, breaking barriers, promoting fairness for everybody. Because I got kids and I want them to have a better world than I was in. And I think they do have a better world than the one I was in. So again, Pete, I would say I don't know if it's worse because I see where my girls are and where they're going, and they're in areas that I don't think I could have been in 50 years ago. So my kids impress me every day, in where they're going, and I want those doors to be open for them, and I want them to be able to go into and prove by their worth and their work ethic their value in those places. So I think in a lot of ways, this is an exciting time to be in,
Mhm.
current administration excluded. And so I'm not one of these guys. I don't want to go back to, let's go back to the 90s or back to the 70s or back to the 50s or whatever. No, I ain't going back nowhere. I'm going to live in the present and I'm going to work towards the future.
All right, guys. Let's start getting our final thoughts. Dave, you go first. Paul, second, and Marion last.
I think I landed mine, so everybody else go.
All
I'm
right.
good.
I'll be say that this is a very unique topic. I think not only our channel to be talking about this more people to get on the type of conversation and be frank about it. Because there's something going on in this nature right now that need to stop and need to end. It's getting very tiring. The idea about Merrick first, I'm not believing none of the lies no more. It's not really about merit because if it's really about merit, a lot of qualified people are gotten real job and do the work they're hired to do. I love you giving that opportunity to perform, let the perform prove the what. Like perfect example. You want to join the NBA team, you do tryout. Everybody do tryout. WWE, they do tryout. You have to prove your worth. When you prove your worth and you make the cut, let them do the job. Right now, I'm not feeling the mentality, the mindset, the lame conspiracies, the BS, the division. The more you create the division, the more you show proof that the kind of person you are a coward. It is what it is. I know I've been on this YouTube space for almost 4 to 5 years. I've made it very crystal clear. I'll be straightforward with you guys. Either you like it or you don't. And I'll be consistent. I'm here about for understand. I'm here about to acknowledge people and their culture different. I'm here about giving people respect. I'm not here to play game with people, but if this will continue, then we will see the group of people behind us who not gonna be so nice to you guys. Other than that, let's keep this conversation going. That's my final thought.
Well, this is a interesting topic. I will say there's a lot of challenges going on in every work industry, but this is going to be some other time. I don't, wondering now at this point why certain people with individuals, I will say, with higher titles, but abuse their power. That's a whole different conversation for next time. But anyways, I mean, and it's wonderful to see diversity in every work industry. Just unfortunately, some people, some individuals, I will say, don't like it, and some do like it. Some prefer, you have to be a qualified individual willing to do the job, not somebody just brag about it but doesn't show it. Um, and it's in every industry. It doesn't matter if it's in hospitality, doesn't matter is in the trucking industry, or it's in retail, and it's every industry have its own drama, I will say. But other than that, um I know that it's going to be harder now, because now some people, some individuals don't take their job seriously, and then the ones who really bust their butt and they take credit, they the one do all the work, but then somebody else takes the credit, and this is going to go for every industry, unfortunately. um but yeah, this is an interesting topic. I'm hoping we will talk. I mean, it's everywhere, and you should have diversity no matter what. But it's also the only unfortunate thing, people with bigger titles, doesn't matter if it's a manager, supervisor, whatever the case is, or above that. And unfortunately, some people can abuse their power by saying things that has no backup evidence, and just trying to put so much that power of saying, which it's unfortunate. I don't care what ethnic, what race background they are, doesn't give you that right to use that power or leverage to belittle individuals. And that's unfortunate. It's in every work industry. So um with that in mind, I know, it's a lot going on, but unfortunately it is what it is. But I rather prefer to work in a diverse environment than work in an environment that feels like and then you feel like, and also I need people that are qualified, that are willing to do the job. And that's that. I don't need to deal with somebody just to do bare minimum and say all this talk. There's no point of having individuals like that in the field. And that's all I could say. That's all I have to give to say.
All right, guys, I want to thank you for coming up. When I said this tonight is going to be an interesting topic, I wasn't kidding. It was an interesting kind of topic. I think we all can agree on that, right, guys?
Mhm.
Yeah.
We might see things differently. I know me and Paul see things differently. Me and David see things. Me and Mariana differently. But we can agree on a lot of things and disagree and be respectful.
Mhm.
And that's the point of this channel. We can
Mhm.
disagree to agree.
Mhm.
The point of this channel is to break walls, break boundaries. The gray area is a perfect example. This show is a good example. The anime Unlock is another good example.
Mhm.
Train Gen X is another example. The Hangout is another great example. Doesn't matter what background you are. I
Mhm.
want these walls to break.
Mhm.
I think we've been doing these walls way too fucking long to keep having these conversations, and nothing has broken down. It keep getting broken down. I think they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Mhm.
Let's start grabbing some sledgehammers and start taking these walls down. Yes, I might not see color. Paul does. But we can agree on one thing. We are still brothers in arms.
Mhm.
David, he might look like a Groot, and I'm a Greek god, but we are still. Don't give me that look. Do not you dare give me that look, buddy. You want a banana? you listen. You pound your chest, buddy. You know I'm gonna fuck with you, right? But seriously, we are breaking these walls. So you only have two choices here. You can embrace the walls coming down, or I'm gonna force you to take them down. You can pick one now because I'm tired of this shit. I think we're all we are. David, aren't you tired of this shit? Paul, Mariana, I think I know the answer.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, as always, the wall will come down. All right, guys, let's go over this quick schedule update because I think I had enough of the stuff. Tomorrow we're having a anime unlock episode. Yeah, it's been a long fucking day. David, you
Uh,
want to go a brief
I'll
summary,
make
not a
sure that it's
fucking
simple.
20-hour minutes.
No, we are reaching another level in the conversation concerning Adamanga and what the architect of things. The past couple of episodes, it allowed us to go a little deeper to break down certain things. And what we're going to do in this tomorrow episode, I want you guys to get your ears open, listen to some of the points we put out, and understand there's a unique architect that was created within manga that you always going to find something that fits your taste. And sorry, I'm not the guy for the slice of life, okay? I'm not into the girly stuff there. Like I said, there's something for everybody in anime as well in manga. If you're into detective, um, thriller type of anime, they have something for you there. Are you into the horror? There's something for you. You for the lane comedy, there's something there. It's like there's always a unique lane that fits specific taste. And this way we will take the time and go down into the deep willy nilly and do a breakdown. Because I know last show, and I don't see a lot of people come and watch it, but it's an interesting conversation to do a breakdown based on your unique debate. So this show coming up tomorrow. Get your pen, get your notes ready. Without bringing something concerning anime and manga as well, because they both have a hand in hand and understand why it becoming a growing thing. Shout out to Demon Slayer. If you get to 1 billion, that'll be a shocker. I'm just saying.
All right, and Paul, you want to go over your show?
Yeah, so on Thursday night on Next Gen Training, we're going to continue in our series on looking for work, seeking jobs, developing your career. We've talked about job hunting. Last week, we talked about resume writing, and we're going to go into the next phase. You get the interview, how to perform and how to do well in the interview. We're going to be talking about that process on Thursday night, next in training, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time.
And we will have a show on Friday with Sean. And on Saturday is going to be Street Fighter versus Mortal Kombat, the Ultimate Fighter game showdown. We did this about a year ago. I think it's time to revisit this because back then we didn't have as many people coming on. The channel was still pretty new at the time. But at this point, I believe we have to revisit it because a little fight in us all. Don't you think, Paul?
I'm getting too old for this stuff.
You've reached your limit on talking. Shut the fuck up.
So,
And yet,
as always,
you didn't see that in the Comic Con.
no. Mariana's looking, shaking her head, right, Mariana?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say.
Oh,
Yeah.
All right, guys. As always, there was a Spartan executing network. I am the Spartan. He is Black David, aka Baby Crew, aka Cry Bear.
Bear Paul.
And Mr. President, aka Mr. Bennett, the Witch Doctor, and I have to always finish like I always finish. Oh, hang on. I got to get myself ready because I didn't get set up here. Okay, I always have to finish like I always. Stay fresh, stay safe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.